Hello my dear students, this is Vasavi ma'am from NEET World, your biology educator for Foundation and CBSE. Yes, students, here comes an interesting thing about our institute NEET World. In our institute, we are conducting the foundation courses for the class 6th to 10th, and the courses are going to commence from 1st April 2025, and we offer an exclusive courses with an experienced faculty, and we focus on all the subjects like physics, chemistry, mathematics and biology. All the classes are covered for both the SSC and CBSE in the English medium. And next, after completing each class and after completing each chapter, we have a special doubt clearing sessions, children. And next, we make all the classes in an interesting way by creating the animations. Yes. And next, yes, NEET World Star 2025, it is all about the scholarship test, and the scholarship test is going to be conducted on the March 29th and 30th of 2025. Yes, and the mode of examination is either in online or offline mode. It is as per your preference. And the eligibility of the students is all the students from class 6 to 10th are eligible for the scholarship test. It is all about to test your talent, children. And next, by writing the scholarship test, you are going to have some important and interesting benefits like you can get up to 100% scholarship on NEET and JEE foundations, and special cash rewards are going to be provided to the top performers. And next, personalized guidance and career counseling is provided from the experts, children. Okay, so please download our app MedWorld, and next you can download the app and you can give the scholarship test examination there. Yes. Yes. So coming towards the today's session, in this today's session we are going to discuss about the most important topics, and we are going to cover the most important case based questions from the chapter Cell, the Fundamental Unit of Life. It is from the class 9 CBSE. Yes. So children, when it comes to case based questions, the case based questions may not always be in a paragraph oriented. Okay, so please remember, sometimes the case based questions may be diagram oriented also. Okay, so here there are most important case based questions from the first chapter, Cell, the Fundamental Unit of Life. Yes, coming towards the first question. Here the question is, identify A, B, C and D in the given figure X. Okay, so before identifying all these labels A, B, C and D, you need to know what is the given figure here. Okay, so the given figure is the X, the figure, okay, it is the plasma membrane. Okay, the given figure is the plasma membrane. Okay, this is the plasma membrane, and the plasma membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer. These are all the lipid layers which are arranged in two layers. Okay, so if you see this single structure, the lipid layer is going to contain two components, like one is head, this is the head and this is the tail. Clear? The head is called as the hydrophilic and the tail is called as hydrophobic. In the plasma membrane, the phospholipid bilayer is present and the head part is associated with the aqueous environment, hence it is called as hydrophilic, and the tail part is called as the hydrophobic. And in between these, there are some scattered proteins. Okay, in between these two lipid layers, proteins are embedded, and the proteins are generally made for the passaging, and they are important for carrying the substances from outside of the cell environment to the inside of the cell environment. So here it is actually a labeled part C. This is C. So C is what, children? C is an intrinsic protein. Okay, C is what? C is intrinsic protein. Okay, C is intrinsic protein Yes. And next, it is not visible, I think. Yes. So here C is intrinsic protein. Yes. And next, coming towards is A, okay, it is an extrinsic protein. D is also an extrinsic protein. Here the given option C and D are extrinsic proteins which are present in the plasma membrane. Intrinsic is present inside the plasma membrane and extrinsic protein is present outside of this lipid layer. And next here B is what children? B. What are these all? Black color tails. Okay, these are hydrophobic tails. And here these circular portions, green colored structures, what are these? These are the hydrophilic heads. Clear with the concept? Plasma membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer. The lipid structure is going to contain the hydrophilic head and the tail portion is called as the hydrophobic tail. And here it is an intrinsic protein and it is an extrinsic protein. D is extrinsic protein, C is intrinsic protein. The figure X is actually a plasma membrane, A is hydrophilic head and this B is hydrophobic tail. By keeping all these concepts in mind, now let's solve these options. Okay, so identify A, B, C and D in the given figure X. What is A? A is hydrophilic head. Okay, clear? Hydrophilic head. Yes. Option A, hydrophobic tail he is saying, so it is a wrong option. And what is B? B is hydrophilic head. No, B is actually what children? B is the hydrophobic tail. So this option is also wrong. And C is intrinsic protein. Yes, this is correct. And next D is extrinsic protein. These two are correct but these two are incorrect. So option A is incorrect option. And next coming towards the option B, B is hydrophilic head. Yes, B is hydrophilic head. This is also wrong. It is actually a hydrophobic tail. So next coming towards the option B, hydrophobic tail. Okay, so this one is hydrophobic tail. This is wrong because it is what children? It is hydrophilic head. Okay, this is also wrong. Next C is extrinsic protein. Wrong. This is actually an intrinsic protein. Yes, D is intrinsic protein. Wrong because this is actually extrinsic protein. So this option B is also wrong. Next coming towards the option C. Here A, option C is telling that A is hydrophilic head. Yes, it is correct. A is what children? A is hydrophilic head. Okay. Hydrophilic head. Okay, this option is correct. Next B is hydrophobic tail. Yes, this is also correct. Next C is intrinsic protein. Yes, true. And next one D is extrinsic protein. This is also absolutely true. So when compared to option A and B, option C is your correct answer. And option D is A is hydrophobic tail. That is also wrong. And next B is hydrophilic head. Yes, B is actually a hydrophobic tail. This is also a wrong option. Next C is extrinsic protein. This is wrong. And next coming towards the D, intrinsic protein. This is also wrong. Okay, clear children? So here in these overall options, option C is right because A is hydrophilic head and B is hydrophobic tail and next C is intrinsic protein and next option D is extrinsic protein. Clear with the first question? Yes. So keep all these plasma membrane concept in your mind. Based on these only you are going to solve three most important questions. Yes, coming towards the second question. Yes. The X is mainly composed of, what is X here? This given figure is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is mainly composed of what children? Look here the options. Option A is saying that proteins, lipids and cellulose layer. Proteins and lipids are correct but cellulose layer is wrong because cellulose layer is actually a cell wall which is present in the plant cells. Okay. Option B is lipid bilayer and proteins. Yes, this option is true. Okay, the plasma membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer with the proteins embedded inside them. Okay, and some proteins are also present on the outside. Option C is protein layer between two lipid layers. protein layer continuously it is not there, but the proteins are embedded in some places to carry the substances from the outside of the cell to the inside of the cell. So this option is also wrong, and option D is lipid bilayer between two protein layers. This statement is also wrong, children, because plasma membrane is only made up of the phospholipid bilayer, but in between them two protein layers he is saying. So protein layers actually they are not there. So option B is the correct answer. It is actually made up of, the X is mainly composed of phospholipid, lipid bilayer and the proteins. Yes, next coming towards the question 3, which component of X completely spans the lipid bilayer and forms the passage for the substances? Okay, which is involved in the receiving the substances from the outside to the and next transporting to the inner environment? Yes, proteins. Which proteins they are? Intrinsic proteins. Clear, children? Intrinsic protein. So here C, what is C here? It is actually an intrinsic protein which is involved in receiving the substances and transporting it from the outside of the cell to the inside of the cell. Yes, clear? So the given options are extrinsic protein. Okay, this is wrong. Next, polysaccharide. These are actually sugar molecules. These are also not involved here. So it is also a wrong option. Next, C is intrinsic protein. Yes, C is intrinsic protein. This is the correct one. Next, option D is phospholipid. Okay, these lipids are actually not involved in transporting the substances. Okay, if it is hydrophilic, the head is hydrophilic, it can receive only the water molecules, but the tail is hydrophobic, it will not transport it completely to the inner cell membrane. So actually the intrinsic proteins are involved in receiving the substances from this outer cell environment and the next transporting it to the inner cell environment. Clear with this concept? Plasma membrane. Clear, plasma membrane is going to, from that concept you are going to get most important questions. Those are 3. Please be in practice, okay. So next coming towards the 4th question, these are actually the direct pictures which are extracted from your NCERT books. So please focus on this. Yes, here the given image is, it is actually a typical eukaryotic cell. Okay, children, it is actually what? It is a typical eukaryotic cell. If you see here, here are some labelings. A, see here, this is the A. What is A here? Which cell organelle it is? The A is vacuole. Okay, it is the vacuole. Okay, it's not visible. Okay, the A is vacuole. The vacuole is mainly composed of a fluid filled substance that is called as the sap. Okay, and the vacuole is surrounded by the single membrane called as, this is surrounded by a single membrane called as what, children? Tonoplast. What it is? Tonoplast. Okay, vacuole is mainly made up of a single membrane that is called as the tonoplast. Okay, yes, next coming towards the labeled part B, it is a chloroplast. Okay, chloroplast is also a double membrane bound cell organelle which are going to contain the thylakoids. The function of these thylakoids is to receive the solar energy from the sunlight, and they are actually involved in the process of photosynthesis. So it is not visible here clearly, so it is just a hypothetical diagram. So option B is chloroplast. This is B. Yes, next coming towards the C. C is a double membrane bound cell organelle which is called as mitochondria. Okay, children, C is mitochondria. Yes, next option D. D is Golgi body. So that image also I am drawing here roughly. Okay, so the Golgi bodies are actually involved in receiving and modification and secretion of the proteins. So keeping all these concepts in mind, so look into the question and the options. The organelle A is surrounded by a membrane called, what is A here? A is a vacuole which is surrounded by a single membrane that is called as tonoplast. So option C is correct, whereas the option A, B and D are, A is plasma membrane, it is wrong. Okay, so for the cell is going to contain the cell membrane. Outside the cell membrane only it is going to have the cell wall. Okay, so it is going to be surrounded by the single membrane tonoplast. Yes, next it is also composed of the cell membrane, plasma membrane is also present, and next option B is cell wall. This is also a wrong, okay, because A is surrounded by a membrane. Okay, we have to mention these membrane. As it is a tonoplast, it is the correct option. Yes, next D is outer membrane. This is also an irrelevant option. Okay, here we have to mention only the single membrane of the vacuole, that is the tonoplast. Yes, next coming towards the fifth question, which of the following pairs has its own DNA besides the nucleus? Yes, so option B and C. What are options B and C? Option B is a chloroplast and option C is a mitochondria. Okay, so the chloroplast and mitochondria are going to have their own DNA in the circular form. Okay, mitochondria and the chloroplast have their own circular DNA. So option B and C are correct. Clear? C is mitochondria and B is chloroplast. Both of them has the own DNA. Okay, yes, next option B is B and D. What is B is chloroplast, it is correct, but D is Golgi body. Golgi body is not going to have their own DNA, so option B is wrong. Next coming towards the option C, D and C. What is D here? Golgi body, it is not going to have their own DNA, and coming towards the C, mitochondria is going to have their own DNA, but here we have to mention a correct pair which is going to contain their own DNA. Okay, so this is also wrong. And next option D is A and C. What is A, children? Here A is a vacuole, it is going to contain only sap but not DNA. Okay, DNA is absent here. And next what is C? C is mitochondria, it is also going to contain their own DNA, but those two are not the correct pairs. So the correct pair which is going to contain the DNA is option A. Okay, option A is B and C, which is going to contain both mitochondria and chloroplast. Yes, coming towards the next question, which of the following is the site for the cellular respiration? Okay, where the cellular respiration will take place? In the mitochondria. Okay, so the given options are A, B, C and D. What is A? A is a vacuole, it is not involved in the cellular respiration. And what is B? B is chloroplast. Chloroplast is actually involved in the photosynthesis process, but it is not involved in the cellular respiration process. So these two are wrong. And what is C, children? C is mitochondria. Mitochondria is actually involved in the cellular respiration and it will generate the energy in the form of ATP. So C is the correct option. And what is D? D is Golgi bodies. Golgi bodies are actually involved in synthesizing and modification of proteins, but it is not involved in the cellular respiration. Okay, clear with the concept? Sixth question. Yes, seventh question. The structural elements of B which take part in photosynthesis are called as. In the, what is B first? Actually B is a chloroplast. In the chloroplast we have the stacked structures which upon one another they are called as the thylakoids. Thylakoids are actually the components of the chloroplast which are involved in the process of photosynthesis by receiving the solar energy. Okay, this is the actual concept. Okay, so the given options are matrix. Okay, matrix is a folded structure which is, yes, matrix is a substance which is present in the mitochondria, and thylakoids. Okay, B is the correct option. Okay, B is thylakoids which is going to contain inside the chloroplast and they are involved in receiving the solar energy and making the process of photosynthesis. So this is the correct option. Whereas stroma, what is stroma? Inside the chloroplast we have a fluid filled substance that is called as the stroma. And the next option D is lamellae. What is lamellae? See here, if you see the structure of the chloroplast, it is a double membrane bound cell organelle which are going to contain the thylakoids which are stacked one upon the another. Yes, and these are going to be connected to one another by the help of lamellae. Yes, and here all the fluid filled substance is called as what, children? This is called as the stroma. Clear? And these are thylakoids, and the single structure, this is called as the granule. Clear with the concept? Clear with the 7th question? Yes. Next, moving towards the 8th question. Yes, it is a very important concept. So see here, first to learn, before learning these concepts, you need to focus on some important terms like, yes, the topic is related to osmosis, children. Yes. So in the osmosis, okay, we have 3 different types of solutions. Okay. Okay, take one beaker. Okay, for example, okay, take one beaker and fill it with water. Okay. So yes, before learning this, you have to know these terms like what is solution. Okay, what is solution? Solution is made up of solute plus solvent. Clear? So now what is actually a solute? The solute is made up of either sugar or plus what salt. Okay. Next, what is solvent here? Solvent is water. Okay. So now take this beaker and fill it with water and add some sugar, and next you can add salt. Okay. This is actually solution A. Okay. This is a solution A, and here you can place one resin. Okay. To understand the concept, you need to understand these basics first. So then easily you can attempt those case based questions. So okay, this is actually, and place one resin. Okay. Place one resin in the beaker A, which contains the solution. Okay. This is the beaker A. Okay. Okay, the beaker A contains the water. All these blue color dots are water. Okay. It contains the water, and next it contains what, children? It also, and what I am adding here? Sugar and NaCl. So the water in which all this sugar and NaCl are going to be dissolved, they are called as solutes. Solutes will always dissolve in the solvent. What is solvent? Water. Okay, here the solvent is water. Okay, and the solute is what, children? The solute is here sugar and NaCl. Okay, now this is a beaker A, and with respect to this cell and okay, with respect to the cell, in the surrounding environment we have the solutes more. What we have, children? With respect to the cell, the surrounding environment, it is going to contain more number of solutes. More solutes. Clear? Here the solute concentration is more with respect to this cell medium, and the water present inside the cell is less. Clear with the concept? Yes. Here the solute is more and water is less. Clear? So the water is less, the solvent is less, and the solute is more. So in the osmosis, always the water is going to move from the high concentration gradient to the low concentration gradient. So here we are saying that the solvent is more and the solutes are less. So if the solvent means, if the solvent water is more, from where to where it moves? Okay, it moves from the high concentration to the low concentration gradient. Yes, inside this resin, the water, the solvent is more, so it always moves from this high concentration to low concentration. Okay, so during this process, inside this resin, the water, the solvent concentration is more, and in the surrounding environment, the solute concentration is more. Okay, yes. So here as the water is more, it is going to move outside. Okay, solute concentration is more here. Okay, when the solute concentration is more, here the water is going to move from the high concentration to the low concentration. When all this water is going to move outside of the cell, okay, when complete solvent will move from the cell to the external environment, then what will happen? Here all the water concentration will lose and the cell will become shrink. Clear with the concept? Okay. So this is actually called as hypertonic solution. What it is called, children? Hypertonic solution. In the hypertonic solution, the concentration of solute is more and the concentration of solvent is less. As the concentration of solvent is less with respect to the cell, the solvent will move from the high concentration to the low concentration. The solvent is more inside the cell, hence these water will move outside of this environment. Okay, and next the cell is going to become shrink. This is about the hypertonic solution. So if you see the hypotonic solution, in the hypotonic solution, the solvent is more. What is more, children? In the hypotonic solution, the water concentration, the solvent concentration is more. Yes. Now again take one beaker, let you assume it as a beaker B, and here the water concentration, the solvent is more with respect to the cell. Here it is again a resin. Okay. And here in the hypotonic solution, in hypotonic solution, the solvent is more. Clear? In first case, in the hypertonic solution, the solute are more, and here the solvent is more. Okay. Here we are not going to add any solute we are not going to add any solute molecules. This is just a water medium. Okay. And in here, when compared to this cell, okay. So here what happens? The solvent present inside the cell is less. Hence, the concentration present, okay, the surrounding medium has the more solvent concentration when compared to the cell. So, the solvent molecules are going to move from high concentration to the low concentration. Here actually the resin is going to contain the less number of solvent molecules, hence the surrounding medium has more number of solvent molecules. It is going to move from high concentration to the low concentration. In both the cases, in the hypertonic solution, the water molecules are moving, the solvent is moving away from the cell sap, hence there what it is going to take place? Exosmosis. Okay. Exosmosis is nothing but losing, okay, losing the solvent molecules, and endosmosis means gaining the water molecules. So in the hypotonic solution, which is more? Solvent is more. When compared to the cell environment, the solvent present here is less. So it will receive all the solvent molecules and the cell becomes swell. Okay, the cell will swell in the hypotonic solution due to the endosmosis, and the cell shrinks in the hypertonic solution due to the exosmosis. Okay, this is the actual differences between the hypotonic and hypertonic solution. When you see the isotonic solution, in the isotonic solution you are going to contain the equilibrium state. Okay, equilibrium state is going to attain. The solvent present here and the solutes present here are completely equal to the surrounding environment. Okay, here the water, the solvent which is moving outside is equal to the water, the solvent which will enter inside this cell. Clear, children? Clear with the three types of solutions: isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic solutions. In the hypertonic solutions, the solute concentration is more and the solvent concentration is less. Due to this, the water moves from the higher concentration with respect to the cell. In the cell medium, the solvent content is less, hence it moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. In the hypertonic solution, the cell shrinks. In the hypotonic solution, due to the endosmosis, the cell swells, whereas in the isotonic solution, it is going to attain an equilibrium state. So keeping all these concepts in mind, yes, this is the question. Select the incorrect statements. Okay, this is a solution A. Yes, it is a solution A, solution B, solution C. Okay, first option is, in the solution A, the medium surrounding the cell has high water concentration than the cell. Yes. Okay, incorrect statement we have to find out. Yes, this is actually what, children? This is the hypotonic solution. Hypotonic solution. In the hypotonic solution, the water concentration with respect to cell is more. Yes. Next, in the solution C, the external medium has exactly the same water concentration as the cell. Yes, it means it is an isotonic solution. In isotonic solution, the concentration inside and outside the medium is same. And in the C, in solution B, the cell will lose water due to endosmosis. What is Solution B, it is hypertonic solution. As we have said, in the hypertonic solution, the cell shrinks due to the exosmosis. Here actually the water, it is losing the water, hence the cell shrinks. Okay, cell shrinks by the exosmosis but not by the endosmosis. Okay, this is only the incorrect statement and the correct option is option C. Okay, this is an incorrect statement. Okay, and we have to find it only the incorrect statement. So the option C is the correct answer. In the option D, in solution B, the surrounding medium has low concentration of water than the cell, making the outside solution concentrated. So this is also wrong, children. In B, what happens? Yes, in the solution B, here the molecules, the solvent moves from higher to low concentration. Okay, inside the cell we have high concentration of the water and outside the solutes are more. So here the solvent will move from the higher to lower concentration, hence the cell will shrink in the solution B. Yes, next coming towards the ninth question. When a cell is placed in a solution A, there is a gain of water. What is solution A here? Solution A is hypotonic solution. Solution A is hypotonic solution. In the hypotonic solution, the cell swells due to the endosmosis process. Yes, this is the correct option. And option B is isotonic solution. Wrong, because it is a hypotonic solution. And C is hypertonic solution. This is also wrong, because why it is wrong? It is actually a isotonic solution. And D is concentrated solution. Okay, here we don't have the concentrated solution. Okay, this is also an irrelevant option. And question 10th is, in the solution B, the water moves out through the process of what, children? The water moves through the process of exosmosis. Okay, the water moves through the process of exosmosis. Okay, option B is correct. Option A is endosmosis. It is wrong, because in the solution A, hypotonic solution, it will become swell due to endosmosis, and in option B, exosmosis. Okay, exosmosis is going to takes place. Water moves out through the process of endosmosis. Okay, yes, next option C is diffusion. Okay, it is also a wrong statement, and next option D is also wrong. So in solution B, the water moves out through the process of exosmosis. Okay, which is the correct option? Option B is correct option. Clear, children? Clear with the concept? Clear with all the most important case study questions? So these type of solutions, isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic solutions, this concept is very important. And next, coming towards the plasma membrane structure, that is also a most important. So please keep practicing all these questions. Hope this session is useful to you. Thank you.